Welcome to Chamber Chats. And today's guest is Fintan Conlon. Fintan is about to change tact, I think, in the middle of COVID-19. So Fintan is a Westport man. Covey, you're born in Westport, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And has been for many years in the transport. So Fintan, you might give us a bit of your background before you start off.
Well, good morning, Ollie, and thanks for having me on the Chamber Chats. It's a privilege actually to be part of this because I've enjoyed watching all the other participants. So thank you for inviting me on this. I'm happy to speak. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Fintan Conlon. I'm in my 50th year, and as you said, born, bred, and reared Westport. I had a brief period where I lived in London. I think my life has revolved around recessions because the recession brought us to London in the mid-80s. My father got work over there, and he was in the construction business. So we moved over to London in 85, and I finished off my studies over there. I was only 15 years of age, and finished off my studies over there, went to college over there, went to construction college, became a site supervisor engineer over there, working for a large firm over there called Molan Management, working on some fantastic projects in London, in Euston and Paddington and Woking and some glorious places like that. But then another sort of recession hit back in the early 90s, which hit England and forced me back to Dublin, where I went working in Dublin for a year. Again, working in groundworks and back in construction. But my father at that time had moved home. So I always had the urge to move home. So when he gave me the opportunity to come back and help him with his construction business, I jumped at the chance. But unfortunately, things really hadn't taken off back home yet with the construction side of things. I think it wasn't really until maybe 94, 95, things started to pick it up in construction. So in the meantime, I met my lovely wife, Wendy, and we had my first child, Matthew, in 92. And it was time to kind of settle down. So I got a job in Allergan. I needed something a bit steadier than the construction jobs that were coming in. So I got a job in Allergan in 92, and I was 13 years there. And that brought me up to 2005. I was working in the warehouse mainly. Started off in plastics and then into kits and then into the warehouse. And really enjoyed my time there. They were very good and an asset to the town. Then 2005 came along. I always had the urge, because I had grown up in construction and grown up outside rather than being confined to within warehouse. I always had the urge to get outside again and start something myself. And 2005 came along, and redundancies were announced in Allergan, and I took the opportunity to start up One Man in His Van. I already had a van, and I was kind of doing some stuff on the side anyways for friends and family and neighbours. I actually bought the van for fishing, and it ended up becoming more inclined to be delivering sofas and things than fishing rods. But so I took the opportunity to say, right, okay, let's see if I can make a go of this. And I remember picking up my new van. I ordered a van off a garage up in Galway, new Mercedes 616 Sprinter, and had it all sign written and everything. And my very first job, I was literally driving back from the garage in Galway, and we moved my first customer. So if you're watching, Martin Brennan, you were my first customer. we moved him from the Quay out to Murrisk. And so that was my very first customer, and One Man in His Van. And we never looked back since. So
which year was that?
That was in 2005. So when I left. So I left in May 2005, and it took some time to set up the business and do bits and pieces and getting everything sorted out. I had to do CPC training because it was over 3.5 ton vehicle. So I had to become my own transport manager. So I did all of that, and I actually took some time off when I left Allergan as well. I said this might be the only opportunity I have to bring my family traveling. So by then we had 2 sons, my other son, Kieran, born in 95. And I took my family off traveling for a few weeks down to south of France and northern Spain and Andorra, and absolutely loved it. It was to date one of our best holidays. But it just, because I didn't have to think about work or anything. It was just about the holiday, and it was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely loved it. So came back and went hell for leather back into business and trying to kick one man in his van off the ground, and very quickly grew the business quite quick, probably a little bit too quick, because by 2007 I had 5 vans on the road, and I had staff, and I had a warehouse, and I was doing storage facilities. I was doing contract work for courier companies. I had vans going all over Mayo and Galway by the beginning of 2007. So grew the business very quickly. But then there was a series of unfortunate events. I had one major customer go bust on me, followed a recession quick after. So it was waiting from late 2007 right through. And tough times. That was sort of a second/third recession I'd seen, and I was still only fairly young.
They come very frequently, don't they?
We stayed, and we managed the business. We had some good customers. Yeah, absolutely. And people, I think, forget about that. You know, we do see them fairly frequently. To be honest, the run we had up until the recession in 2007 was incredibly long run. From the mid-90s to then was longer than you would normally see. Like, there was talk of a crash going into the late 90s, early 2000s. So for it to last to 2007-8 was incredible. And people made a lot of money, but unfortunately we'd started our business a bit too late to benefit from it. So for us, it was firefighting in a big way. But we stayed and we managed it, and we had some good customers. And part of the plan to kind of survive, we started up an IKEA delivery service in 2009 when Belfast opened. And then the Dublin store opened, I think, 2010 or 11, I think it was. And we started doing deliveries from there as well. And that brought us, we continued the IKEA delivery service right up until 2 years ago, 2018. We stopped that when IKEA started offering their own delivery service. Okay. But by that stage, we had grown our house removals business quite considerably. And we were going back and over to the UK virtually every couple of weeks doing removals. So it was an easy decision really to make, was to end the IKEA service and concentrate on our removals and UK business, which was going really strong right up until we were actually on a UK trip in March of this year. And we were going over, my wife came with me actually for the spin, and all we were listening to was the reports about COVID coming on the radio. And it was changing almost by the hour, the reports that were coming through. And we had to make a decision very quickly on what we were going to do. So we decided on the way back from the UK on the 12th of March that this was going to be our last trip for a while until we know what's going on.
Well, your business disappeared, did it?
Basically, overnight. Yeah,
well,
we lost about at least 95% of our business overnight. So it was tough, and considering the work we had put into it, when it was no fault of our own, and we had done so well, not only for the business to survive over the recession years, but to get it back into growth mode. It was a bitter pill to swallow, and yeah, we had to do a lot soul searching over the coming months.
Well, that's a very competitive business anyway, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
A lot of people at it, big and small, isn't it?
We've seen a lot of people come and go, try their arm at it, you know, and they haven't lasted, whereas we've lasted. And I think the whole ethos of our business has stood for us in that it's customer first. Customer is number one. And we've built up such a rapport with our customers that a lot of them have become our close friends. And that's, I think you have to be in tune with your customers and know what they want rather than telling them what they want.
Is there a lot of legislation around it and health and safety and all this?
Yeah, lots. Yeah, there is. There's lots.
There's a lot of learning in it. You just don't jump in the van and start driving. Huh?
Oh God, no. A lot of people have tried, but they learn very quickly, you know, that's not the case. No, there's more to come. I mean, like with Brexit, it's going to be even tougher. And so we don't know really what's down the road because nobody can really give us answers on what's happening with Brexit.
Because nobody knows.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
And nobody knows about COVID either, yeah. All these experts that come out every day, it's an opinion. They don't know. Yeah?
And this is the reason why we had to do a lot of soul searching over the months of lockdown. I wasn't used to sitting on my hands. I was trying my best to get delivery work, do other essential services, but in the end, while we did carry out a few essential moves, we were allowed to do that. The steps we had to take to be able to carry out those moves were quite stringent, and I felt that this is the way we're going to have to go long term. So it was really through a couple of conversations I had with family and friends that I had an idea that I was leading up to. On the 28th of April, I woke up at 3:00 in the morning and just everything became clear in my head that I wanted to start up this property maintenance business.
I think a lot of people wake up at 3:00 in the morning now.
I know. I was doing a lot of that.
Wonder how we're going to get out of this, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it stemmed from a conversation I had with my brother. I'm quite handy, you know. I built my own house. I worked in construction. I've done quite a bit of work for friends and family, and my brother said to me, my oldest brother Noel, he said that, you know, you'd be quite good, you know, doing a bit of property maintenance, and that was the seed, and it just grew from there. And I said, well, if I'm going down this route, I'm going to do it properly. I'm not just going to be a handyman. I'm going to do it properly, and I'll do I'll get all my other certifications up to date and all that sort of stuff. And within a week, I had my domain name bought, the website name takara.ie bought, and I had my hosting, and I had my website created with a little bit of help from my son, who's in tech now. And so within a week we had the website created, and a week later we had it launched. So 2 weeks I had a new business.
And what exactly are you going to do in this new business?
Well, this is the thing. We had intended on going strictly down the property maintenance route. So my thoughts were, there's a lot of people with holiday homes.
Is that construction or cleaning, or both?
No, it's construction. The cleaning came after a later conversation I had, which I'll go into in a second. But the original thought was the property maintenance, and it still is. But there's an awful lot of people, would say, for example, with holiday homes in the west of Ireland who can't get to them. They might be from the East Coast, and through restrictions they can't travel, or they might be from other countries and definitely can't travel. But these properties still need maintaining. So that was my initial thought process, was that, okay, maybe I can do something done along this route. But it was then after a conversation with Helen Gavin from the Chamber that a few requests had come in about people looking for this COVID cleaning service. So I started to look into it, and I found it quite interesting. And I said, again, if I'm going to do this right, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So after doing quite a lot of research in a short space of time, I said, okay, it's a system, the system of fogging, which is what we're pushing within the cleaning service, is a system that's been around for a long time, but hasn't really been used so much in commercial and residential areas. It's been more medical areas. And in another version, it's been used in agriculture quite a bit. So I said, okay, it's a service that's been tried and tested. It just needs adapting. And there were a few other companies out there that had already been adapting to this new service. And as my research went on, I came across a company who I could get training with. And so I got fully trained up and certified in infection control and biohazard fogging. So at least now, when I'm going into a building, we know what we're doing. So we're fully trained up. We have Dynamic Safety in Westport who have modified our safety statements and risk assessments and work methods and all of that sort of stuff. So we have everything down to a T now for going into businesses. And the main aim is get businesses open as safely as possible, so that it's a safe place, not only for the owners to enter, but for their staff and for their customers. And that was our main focus. So that's what the property maintenance business has morphed into, COVID cleaning, but it's hopefully not going to stay at that. It will go back to property maintenance fully.
And if you maintain a house, you will sterilize them more or less. And will you set the beds and all this stuff? Will you keep the house done? Or just,
well, the COVID cleaning, to be honest, Ollie, the COVID cleaning is more designed to assist businesses getting open rather than residential. While we will do residential, as you can imagine, I'm sure you're reading on reports that the cost of PPE and sanitization products and disinfection products are gone through the roof. So the costs involved in operating this business are huge. And
are you going to be involved in things like deep cleaning now?
Yeah, and we actually did a deep clean only yesterday for Miles Santon solicitors. So we've gone through the old council offices, which I'm sure you know very well. So we did a full deep clean of that building right throughout, and it is now certified COVID free and ready for staff and customers to come through the door come Monday morning. Because
I'm sure this is going to be of great interest to people who have winter or summer apartments and winter short terms and 2 weeks. But I understand you have to clean them after each client.
Absolutely,
change over, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So there would be good interest in that when that side of the business opens up again, because I don't think there's an awful lot happening now in the rental business. But when it does happen, yes, it's something that people should consider. We're trying to modify the business so that we make it as cheap as possible for people. But as far as just normal residential is concerned, it's quite a costly service to do for just normal household. But we can still go in and do cleaning by all means.
And should I ask you this? Do you have a price list yet, or are you thinking about it? Or is it price on the application? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely, Ollie. It all depends on the size of business, the amount of rooms, the amount of work surfaces that need cleaning. You know, it is all dependent. But we are trying to be as competitive as possible. There hasn't really been a price point that we could work from. So we're basing it on the price of product to us and just, the standard markup, but we're trying to be as competitive as possible because we don't want to alienate people. It's already a struggle for businesses to open up as it is, with the signage that they need and the reduced capacity for an awful lot of businesses. So to have this added cost of bringing in an external company to do a disinfection service, it's a tough one for businesses.
Absolutely, yeah.
But there is talk of a grant becoming available to assist with this. I haven't got all the information yet, so we'll watch this space. If grants become available, then it'll just make it an awful lot easier.
Grants for the customer.
For the businesses in getting themselves open,
for the business to get them open,
services. Yeah. So that it's not just the cost of us coming in, but it's the cost of They will have to have pump sanitizers, hand sanitizers for their customers and staff. They'll have to change their whole work methods, and even having the likes of a hand towel in a toilet, that has to be gone, you know. So you have to think about how their customers even use their own toilets. It's different things like that.
And
So
you're going
there's a
to
big
try
cost
all
element.
that hardware and software, I suppose.
It's
thought
been requested.
plan
It's
on the
been
thing,
requested, yeah. So that's the plan, all right, you know. So
it's a
we're
big
currently
undertaking,
looking at suppliers. It
big
is,
change.
yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
we're not giving up on one man's van. It will be back, and there are jobs booked in for one man's van. So
You'll have two
um,
businesses.
so I have two businesses on the go, which is people that think I'm mad in the head.
Oh,
You
no,
know,
no,
would you not
no,
take
no.
a break?
Well, it's an expansion, really, isn't it? An expansion.
Well, you know, you have
To
to keep trying, you know. I mean, like I kept my business in the last recession because I kept trying, kept reinventing the wheel with the IKEA service and different things that we did. So that's what you have to do in business. You have to modify in order to stay in business.
to go with the flow.
That's it.
Go with the flow.
Absolutely. But it's
I
enjoyable.
usually ask, actually, we're coming to the end now. I usually ask people what they think of Westport. Now, you were a Westport man, so you have a little bit of bias. But anyway, give it their view.
Of course, I'm
Westport.
biased. But you know what? I have the added advantage of not only having traveled quite a bit on holidays and things like that, but in my business, I've traveled the length and breadth of Ireland, UK, and even Europe. I've been all over Europe with the business. And I can safely say that the west of Ireland, and Westport in particular, is probably the most stunning place to be anywhere.
In the
And
world.
Absolutely. Now, and there is, of course, there's bias there, but everywhere I go and every fantastic site I see, I think, well, we have something like that back home. When you come over the top of Shion, whenever I've been on a trip and I come over the top of Shion there, and on a clear day, when you can see Clare Island in the distance and Crowpatrick over to your left, it is the best site in the world. And I remember actually saying that there was a conference on in Knockranny years ago, and I was a member of the forum. And I mentioned on the forums is just wait for that site coming over tip top. And they say, why? What are we going to look at? I says, I'm not going to tell you, just wait for it. And the comments we got afterwards were just amazing. Said, yeah, it's the best site in the world. But yeah, Westport is, I tell you, Westport has transformed a lot. When we went to England in 84, 85, I remember going with graffiti on the walls, going down the Key Hill. And it was all to do with what was happening in the north at the time. I don't need to remind people of that. But there was a lot of that sort of stuff going on. But because of the recession, I think Westport realized there was no income anywhere else except the tourism business we could grow. So I think from the mid-80s onwards, I noticed when I came back in 1990, 91, that Westport had really harnessed the tourism bug, and the graffiti was gone, and the hotels were coming on stream, and swimming pools were in the minds of hotels when we had none. We had to travel to Castlebar in school to go for a swim. Indoors, or Claremorris. And I have seen such transformation in Westport in the tourist business over the years, and they themselves have transformed as needs have gone. I think the Greenway has transformed Westport. I think the adventure holidays and adventure activities that are happening around the place are fantastic, and I'm seeing, such great things happening with the town. It's a shame that COVID has happened, because I just hope that there's enough supports out there that the tourist businesses and all the shops and retail outlets and every single coffee shop and cafe, restaurant can reopen, because every single one of them are a part of what Westport has to offer. It's a whole package. And it would be a shame to walk up Bridge Street next summer and see half the premises closed. I see too much of it in 2009, 10. where you go into different towns around the country that were half closed. They were like ghost towns, and I'd hate to see that happen to Westport. So hopefully, the supports are there that they can reopen.
Well, obviously, Westport at heart after listening to that discussion. So thanks very much for coming, and the best of luck in your new venture.